Hello, everyone, and welcome to our live Q&A session, all about postgraduate taught degrees in the area of education. My name is Inez Alves, and I'm a senior lecturer in inclusive education. I'm also the director of postgraduate taught degrees here in the School of Education at the University of Glasgow. I'm delighted to welcome you to this live session. And today I'm joined by some of our current students and students who have completed master's programs here in the School of Education who'll talk about their experiences and answer your questions. So if there's anything you want to ask the panel, you can write your questions in the chat, and then any relevant links will also be posted there. So it's now time to meet our panel. Welcome, everyone. So we'll start with a short round of introductions. I've started already. I'll call each of you, and if you could please just tell us your name, what program you're studying or have studied, and where you're coming from, where you're joining us from Glasgow. So I'll start with Ankita, if that's okay.
Hi, thanks, Ines. And hi, everybody. Glad to be on this panel. I'm Ankita. I'm studying international and comparative education, and I'm from India. I'm currently at my student accommodation in the city center.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. And I'll move us on to Deborah.
Hi, everyone. So thank you so much, Inez, for this. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Deborah Shama. I am originally from Nigeria, and I'm also joining from my student accommodation around the city center as well. And it's a pleasure to be here. I'm studying an MSc degree in education, public policy, and equity.
And then I'll jump on to 1C. And you've got MSc Education, Public Policy and Equity, but you're actually joining us currently as a PGR student, right? So tell us a little bit, tell us your name, what you've studied, and where you're joining us from.
Thank you, Inish. Hello, everyone. My name is Wanzi, and I'm originally from China. And now is actually the 7th year for me to study in University of Glasgow. I actually did my bachelor degree here as well in Adam Smith Business School. And I was very honored to join the MSc Education, Public Policy and Equity. It actually gave me a really good direction on choosing my my PhD direction. So now I'm a second-year student in University of Glasgow, and I'm happy to meet you all today.
Brilliant, thank you. And finally, Mohammed.
Hello everyone, my name is Mohammed and I'm from Syria, and I'm doing my master's degree at the University of Glasgow doing TESOL, which is teaching English to speakers of other languages, the MEd one. Yeah.
Brilliant, brilliant. So we've done the first round of question, which was just introductions, and I'll move us on to I think one of the big questions for people trying to decide where to go is why? Why did you choose to study at the University of Glasgow? And maybe I'll follow the same order. Ankita, do you want to tell us?
Sure. Thanks for the question, Ines. I think the reason I decided to study on Glasgow was, of course, it was one of the globally top-ranked universities. And also because, the course that I'm doing, International and Comparative Education, was very relevant to what I was looking for and what I wanted to develop my career as. And other than that, I think I had heard a lot about Glasgow as a very diverse community of student pool, and about the people, as we say that people make Glasgow. So yes, I was really looking forward to come to Glasgow for these reasons.
Brilliant. What about you, Deborah?
Very, very similar reasons to what Ankita shared. I think for me, some other distinct factors were the fact that I was able to research my program like she was sharing, but I was able to read up on the people that were part of the program and see the work that they were doing and have done before in the past, and connect with that as well, and see kind of what my future could look like if I studied with these people and I was able to get some mentorship from these people. And so I think that was a huge factor as well for me connecting with the University of Glasgow. Plus, Glasgow is such a beautiful city. Honestly, when I saw the website, I could not believe my eyes. I didn't know this place kind of existed in this world. And so it is a beautiful place to be. And I think one more thing was, again, with the course, I think the University of Glasgow does a really good job at having specific courses or specific degree programs that are very individualized, but also hit specific targets. So, for example, for me, I haven't really seen any program out there that is just focused on education policy the way it needed to be, as I've experienced it here in University of Glasgow. And so that was another thing that really drew me to choosing this program.
Brilliant. And Wansi, was it similar for you? You moved from a different, so you moved initially from business to education, still in Glasgow. What made you want to stay?
So I actually finished my bachelor degree in 2017, and I want to share a little bit of my experience with everybody here. After I finished my degree, I was studying in Switzerland, and I did my internship in Spain, in USA, and also I went back to China, become a university lecturer for several years. And at that time, I realized actually I want to work in academia afterwards, not in business industry. So I think my mother's school, which is University of Glasgow, would definitely be one of my best choice. Just to let everybody know, we actually have an alumni discount for all the students who used to study in University of Glasgow. We can have like a 20% discount in the tuition fee. That really helps me a lot in supporting myself economically. And also, as everybody know, like School of Education has very good reputation internationally. We have very high ranking in education-related studies, and also a similar reason as Deborah, I've chosen education, public policy, and equity because it actually covers most of the areas related in public policy and social equity related things. And these are actually the fields that I want to do my research in when I chose the program. And it really helped me to get a lovely position in our PGR team. And now I'm in the middle of my research. And I think this is one of the best choice I've ever made in my life, for sure.
That's really nice to hear. Really, really nice. And Mohammed, what made you choose the University of Glasgow?
Well, mainly because of the program. Like when I decided to do a master's degree in TESOL, I was looking for programs here around the UK, and I felt like the program that the University of Glasgow provides is the most one that I found to be or to align with my needs, because I knew that I need certain skills to develop through the program, and I felt like this program is actually uh, align with what I need. So yeah, and the university itself is one of the top 10 universities in the UK, and the program that I'm studying now is like it's a perfect blend between theory and practice. So yeah, and the city itself is very, very, very nice and impressive, and I like the architecture of the buildings, especially the campus. So yeah.
Thank you. Well, I'll pass us on to, there's a question in the chat, and I'll just mention, because I think you've been mentioning some of you are doing MSCs and others are doing MEds. This is somebody who's a teacher from India and is confused on which path to choose, and is interested in kind of underprivileged learners. I think there are a number of programs depending on your interests. I just wanted to mention this MSc versus MEd. So the main difference between these two paths is that the MEd pathways usually require people to have experience in teaching. So either as a teacher or a higher education educator. So that is the main difference, I would say. TESOL, again, you'll have different, so the program Mohammed is completing, you'll have different courses depending on whether you're on the MSc or the MEd pathway. But one of the things I would say is there isn't necessarily a relation between doing the MSc and going into research, or doing the MEd and going into the research. So, for example, I work very closely in the MEd in inclusive education, and it's a master's in education. And many of our students decide that at the end, they really want to continue studying and doing research. So that's, I think, sometimes confusing for those applying. And then I think in terms of choosing a program, it really, as I think Deborah, Wanzi, you're saying, you read beforehand, you saw who was teaching in the programs. That really, really helps to try and understand exactly what your perspective is. But enough of me, and I'll pass us on to the next question. And I'll start with Mohammed. So far, what has been your favorite thing about your master's?
It is the critical perspective I gained about like teaching. I've never thought about specific like topics that or approaches that I need to follow in teaching. Like, for example, social justice was one of the most important and interesting topics for me, or to think about when teaching. So it is this criticality in thinking when dealing and teaching others. So yeah, this was my favorite thing. And in addition to that, I would say also, as I mentioned before, the blends between theory and practice. So we gained a lot of like knowledge about teaching methods and techniques, strategies, but we also practice these like in real settings, and you know uh, some settings that are similar to classrooms. So yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Deborah? What is the highlight for you in your program so far?
So I was trying to, pick one because there are so many. But I think for me, what really stood out was being able to connect with, the professors of my program, because the way my program is structured, we've had opportunities to like take different courses that are still related to policy, but from different angles, and being able to spread my wings hypothetically and learn in that way has been really vital for me in my career trajectory. Being able to build those connections with those professors, and even being able to get into an internship through that experience that I'm starting this month has been really thrilling for me, because I'm particularly interested in research. And so being able to be put in that environment and to learn firsthand from experts who have been doing this for years, I think has been the best part for me. And it's really exciting and something that I value a lot.
And you're almost taking us into the next question, but I want to ask Ankita as well. Is there a highlight, one thing that you'd highlight from your experience in your master's so far?
Thanks for the question, Ines. And I totally agree with what Deborah and Mohammed were saying. But I think for me personally, there are two highlights of my program. One is that my program has a mentorship structure where it connects all the students to a mentor in the industry. And they have like one-on-one sessions and coaching with them, which has really helped me. And personally, in my case, my mentor is kind of who I really expected that to be in terms of what I wanted my career to transition in. And so the personal coaching really helps in transitioning to a career of your choice. And secondly, I really enjoy the curriculum of my course, because it's very updated, it's very live in what's happening in the industry, and the flexibility to shape our assignments and assessments around our personal research areas and topics of our choice is something that I really enjoy doing.
Great. So I'll start, Wanzi, I'll start with you now. And I think you'll have different experiences from the master's and now onto the PhD. But if you think back to your time during the master's, did you take part in any experiential learning opportunities? Did you have a placement, or did you collaborative dissertation, or something else that you thought, okay, this is really useful for me, or will be?
Yes, we had in our program. We had one of the course. It was called Education and Public Policy. So in that course, me and my friends we actually started a project regarding to look into some specific education policy for a specific country. And I think I have learned a lot from that actual opportunity because all of my team members are from different educational and cultural background. And we share a very different idea on the way that we see the education policy. And the very interesting thing that I want to say is this is when the conflict arises when we have disagreement in the project. But this is a really good opportunity for me to explore what people from other countries think about different policies. And this could be very practical for future career because one of the project member is now working for the United Nations in Japan, and she is originally from Ukraine. And when we talked about our experience in the master time, we always talk about this program because that experience really helped her to get involved in different cultural backgrounds to understand about the social equity and social policy related issues. And this is, I think, one of the most unforgettable experience for my master program as well.
Great, great. And Deborah mentioned it. I wonder if Mohammed in TESOL, you feel that you had these experiential learning opportunities. Again, I think you mentioned it briefly as well. Oh, hang on, you're on mute.
Sorry. Yeah, sometimes we work in groups to evaluate materials and to work on some projects. Like, for example, there was a project in collaboration with the University of Stirling. So we attended a few workshops, and it was about social justice issues in textbooks. So we worked on analyzing the materials, evaluating them, and to come up with some ideas on how we can adapt these materials in order to better address these social justice issues. And these workshops actually helped me a lot in refining my research path, that I really want to do something to do with social justice. So after attending these workshops, I decided to make it about gender representations in textbooks. So this is what I'm doing now. So these experiential projects or experiences actually very, very important for us to work together to gain perspectives from other people or individuals. So yeah, it was very helpful.
Great. Great. We've got a couple more questions from the audience, and I'll pick up. There's Dikshita, you asked about personal statements and whether you needed a research proposal. So if you're applying for a master's program, you shouldn't have to submit a research proposal. Usually, if you're asked to submit a personal statement, it's your chance to say what you'd hope to get from the program, but also to comment on your previous experience and how that fits with the program, so that there wouldn't be necessarily the expectation that you write a research proposal. If you're thinking of a PhD or an Ed.D., for example, a doctoral degree, then you're expected to submit a research proposal. And then Nicola, you've asked about the diploma in inclusive education. I'll mention it briefly. So again, within the inclusive education programs, what we have is a build-up structure. So some students start with a PG cert, so the postgraduate certificate, and then they decide to continue on to the diploma, and then they decide to continue on to the master. So the way it's structured is that you can start from the certificate, build onto the diploma and onto the master's, or just go straight onto the master's. And then what you have in the Masters in Inclusive Education is a combination of international students who tend to come to Glasgow for 1 year and they do the full-time master's degree, which I assume for all the students joining us today would be the case. So you're all full-time, right? You've done your program as full-time students, yes. In some of our programs, TESOL might be one of them, educational studies another one. You'll also have students, many of them who are working in schools in Scotland, and so they study part-time, so they might take longer, in some programs up to 5 years to complete the master's degree. So it depends on the program, but that hopefully that will answer your question. I'll move us on to another question, and I would want to know from the four of you how you feel the university has helped you prepare for your future career or future studies. And Wanzi, I think you've mentioned already how you've moved from the master's to the PhD. What do you feel the master's gave you as kind of a strong preparation for your PhD?
I think the best thing is for me to find my research topic. Because before you start a PhD, I think everybody needs to ask them one question: what do you want to research? Like, what do you want to do research in? For the program itself, it really helped me a lot in understanding about the current possibilities for me to choose from. And for my two supervisors, they're actually, both of them were my lecturers in education, public policy, and equity. And from that year of learning, I found my topic, and also I got in closer connection with my professors, as Deborah mentioned earlier as well, because they gave me the idea about if I want to start my research in this area or not. And after we communicate about like the future plan, I successfully got this position in PhD, which was very, very happy that this is everything that I wanted. And except for this part, I also actually want to share something about how it really helped with my career, because I'm working at the same time as a graduate teaching assistant, and I was the graduate teaching assistant for the EPI course. And based on my previous understanding of the course, now I'm able to assist my somebody like Deborah, who we had a discussion in the after class training course. And I think this really helped me with my career as well. In the future, I think it will continue help me with my conjecture in academia, with like maybe understanding about the current trend. And I think the impact is long-term, instead of just seeing me getting the PhD position, more like a lifelong impact on my future studies and career.
Yeah. And maybe I'll ask you, Deborah, the same. So how do you feel the university has helped you prepare for what your future career or future studies might be?
So I just want to grab from what Wanzi was sharing. A lot of the programs are very hands-on, which is a great experience because you get to not just learn the skills academically, you get to experience putting them into action. And I just want to share this, like, apart from the learning aspect, the university has so many opportunities that students can take advantage of while they're studying to practice these different skill sets that you're learning. So for example, within education, there are so many different student internships or student job opportunities or student volunteer opportunities that help you practice these skills, so that as you're learning and as you're going, you'll be able to see what pathway to take, career-wise when you eventually graduate. And so I think that apart from the classroom experience, the outside experience that the university provides is such a great way of putting things into perspective. For me personally, I got the opportunity to be a class rep. I got the opportunity to be a part of a society and lead in that way. And so it helped me practice a lot of things that I've been learning. And apart from that, for us in public policy, we get to read a lot of policy structure development processes. And so being able to see things happen in action, being able to discuss those things, being able to participate in projects that have to do with developing policy really helps to put you in that space of if I were doing this as a full-time job, how will I place myself and what skills do I need to make sure that I'm successful there. I think one particular example that I will also share is we have a particular course where we get to study a country, and we get to study that country's public policy structure for education. And then we get to put ourselves in the shoes of someone who is pitching a public policy reform to the government. And we get to create that entire structure and pitch it ourselves. And so imagine doing something like that can really put perspective into motion for what you can experience in real life and prepare you ahead of time so that when you do get to that opportunity, you're well versed in that experience.
Thank you. And Mohammed, I'm assuming again slightly different in your case with TESOL, but how do you feel the university has helped you prepare for your future career, future studies?
I already have like a teaching experience before, like for 2 years in Syria. But looking forward, I would really like to have this kind of hands-off teaching to do with like course design, assessment, designing tests, something like this. And I really like the flexibility that the university provides us in the second semester to choose our courses. So I chose my courses in the second semester depending on what I need. So I chose course design, for example. I chose T, which is also deals with like some kind of about the global Englishes, not just like the single version of English, and also assessment and feedback. So I feel like now I've gained the knowledge that I needed in these areas in order to be able to work in these fields in the future. So I feel now, yeah, I'm prepared.
Yeah. And last but not least, Ankita, how do you feel your program? We usually refer to International and Comparative Education as ICE. So how did ICE prepare you for your future career or future studies?
So just for context, Ines and everybody, I came to this master's program with, about 4.5 years of work experience in the education sector. And I really wanted to transition into the international education space. So that's why, like I mentioned earlier, that this program was exactly what I was looking for. And, I feel that over the past year, it has definitely prepared me to go and work in the international field. Like as the course title suggests, that it is international and comparative education. So we did, study about a lot of international education theories, practices, what's happening, policies around the world. And it was truly comparative in nature, as in like we were comparing about what's happening in which country, what are the best practices, how to go global, global would be like integrating global and the local practices. So that happened. And I think apart from my very enriching classroom experience, I also got opportunities to work at the university as an intern. So I was holding about 3 internship positions at the university simultaneously. So that also helped me, gain experience of time management and, how to work it out all. And apart from this, I also had like about 3 voluntary positions. I was also a class representative like Deborah. I was a unibuddy volunteer for the marketing team. And I was also a committee member at the GU Salsa Society. So a lot was going on, and I think I tried to gain the maximum experience and exposure, in the past academic year. And I feel this is what actually prepares you for the real life outside.
Yeah. Thank you. We had a question in terms of what are the differences between the international and comparative education and the education public policy and equity programs. Hopefully by these answers, you will start to see the differences. But I would say, again, looking at who's teaching in the programs, what areas the staff are publishing in are always good ways. And if you look on the website, there are quite detailed information from both programs. So hopefully the answer so far helped you understand the different approaches in these programs. Having said this, they do share some of the courses. So some of the courses are joint between the two programs. So that there are definitely some overlaps there as well. I'll ask you a question, which is a general one. What's it like to be a student in the city of Glasgow? And again, I think you've been mentioning little bits about that. But what is it? What's it like? Wanzi, I'll start with you.
Yeah, sure. Because I've been in Glasgow as a student for a very long time. And I have to say my experience has been different when I was doing my bachelor here a long time ago and currently as a PhD student. I think first, like being a student in Glasgow, like you have a lot of like practical side, you have a lot of welfare. For example, we always get like a student discount and things. And when people ask you that you actually study in Glasgow, they always, I think they show their respect to me because they feel like I'm really good at studying. That's one very interesting thing. Another thing is that people sometimes want to connect because they want to know more about how does it feel to study in such an international university? And that really helped me a lot with making friends in the building that I'm currently staying in. We have some students from like other universities in Glasgow. And overall, I think we really enjoy the city vibe. Because you can literally find whatever you need and you want here. And this open and also embracing environment makes us feel like at home. You know, Scottish people are always very friendly. We don't feel like, you know, students from other foreign countries. We feel like, yeah, being a student from like home, we feel like that.
That's that again. I think that's such a strong and powerful statement, and I think it does represent, you can probably tell I'm not originally from Scotland, and I would share the same. It's this very friendly city in general. Deborah, what would be your description of what's it like to be a student in Glasgow, in the city of Glasgow?
I would say it's a great experience. It's a college city. And so people are very much aware that there are college students here, university students here. And so they make it very comfortable for you to feel part of the city. And so it doesn't take long for you to feel like you're a Glaswegian, which is what, you know, we call people here. And you just feel like you connect with everyone. But just to add to what Wansi was sharing, there are so many groups and communities within the city itself. So not just within the University of Glasgow, but in the city itself, there are different groups and communities. Some of it are very specific to university students as well. There are specific communities that are structured for international students because they know like transitioning can be tough, can be difficult. Making friends is necessary. You need people that you can connect with. And so there are those that are available here in Glasgow, and they make it feel very at home and you know, settling here as well. They help with that. They give you support. They give you advice. So yeah, it's a great experience, and it helps to just kind of blend that learning and living structure together. So it's not so pressure filled, and you get to really enjoy yourself while you're here. And not to forget to mention this, there are so many other nearby towns around Glasgow that you can visit and just really enjoy the experience of living in Glasgow. And I think that's definitely worthwhile.
Thank you. And I'm very aware of time. I think time flies when we're having good conversations. I just wanted to pick up, there's a question coming from the audience asking about the professional practice because of transfer credits. I would say for most programs, if you've done credits, that can be transferable. We call it accreditation of prior learning, and we look at on a case-by-case basis at the learning outcomes. Yes, the professional practice masters is the one that's already aligned and there doesn't need to be that process. If you have completed the PGD, for all the other programs, it would have to be a member staff looking at, okay, what are the learning outcomes for the PGD? Do they align with the program? Can you have that transfer of credit? So that's why I'd agree. I mean, in terms of if that's what you're wanted to do, email the educational studies team, because it will have to be a case by case by somebody looking at your documentation, learning outcomes, and seeing if any of your prior credits could be accredited. So final minutes, and I'll jump on to 1 minute, one piece of advice for those joining us in the autumn, in the new academic year. Is there one piece of advice that you'd have for them? Ankita, I'll start with you.
So my piece of advice would be to engage fully inside and outside the classroom and try to make the most of the opportunities available, whether it's tours at the university, whether it's internships, whether it's volunteering, because that is what actually prepares you for real life.
Brilliant. Mohammed, on to you.
Like to make the most out of the services provided by the University of Glasgow, like mental health support, career service, and try to do the Ankita, because engaging with opportunities like voluntary works and internships and other activities would really add up to their experiences, and they will help them in the future in like networking and stuff. So yeah.
Brilliant. Deborah, what's your one advice?
I would say definitely also don't shy away from building connections, especially with your professors, with people even outside of your particular degree network. It's still vital because you can learn things and you can build relationships that can help you in the future. And apart from volunteering, take part in conferences or seminars that are happening in the university, because they can really expose you to other experts and also potentially link you to your next available adventure.
Brilliant. And Wansi, what's your one advice? One piece of advice?
My only one piece of advice is to experience as much as you can, join societies, making new friends, go to the gym and go on school trip, build connections, make friends. And this is just the best opportunities for you to experience everything.
Yes, thank you so much. I think it does capture one thing. It's your program's really important. The staff generally is really keen to hear from students, and to, if you have questions, reach out, because we do enjoy. I think we've got very committed staff who's keen to help students, but also it's thinking beyond your program, thinking beyond also the School of Education, thinking about all the opportunities that you have. And I think if you're coming to do a 1-year program, time goes very quickly, doesn't it? I think when you're doing it, it's really full on. And I always remember every year at graduations, there's a student who comes and says, oh, it was so hard, but I'm so happy. And I wish I could start it all over again because it was so nice. So I think hopefully that kind of captures. You will see in the chat that there are opportunities to ask students beyond this session. So I would say just continue reaching out if you've got other questions. There are students always available through that Ask a Student to answer your questions if you're worried or curious about something, if you're joining us in the next year. It was really nice. That brings us to the end of our Q&A session today. We really hope you find it useful. And this and other recordings from today and from other sessions will be available here on our website over the next few days. So if you want to watch anything back, you can do that. And then to find out more about studying at the University of Glasgow, you can visit our YouTube channel to view program overviews and also student videos. And to connect with other students and find out what it's like to study in Glasgow, you can chat online through Unibuddy. So thank you again for joining our session today. We hope to welcome you to campus soon, and thank you to our students. It's so nice always to hear from you and to hear your experiences here in Glasgow. Bye.
so much, Ines. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.